Hello everyone, I'm Aruj and I'm going to talk about the hidden economic problem in India, the informal economic crisis. Imagine an India where every worker has job security, health care, and a stable income. Now look around. The tea seller at the corner, the construction laborer, the domestic help in the household, are they part of this vision? The reality is that over 85% of India's workforce operate in the informal sector, contributing nearly half of the country's GDP, yet they remain invisible in economic policies and protections. We often talk about GDP growth, stock market trends, and India becoming a $5 trillion economy. But we fail to ask, can India truly grow if a majority of its workforce is struggling for basic rights? Today, I will take you through the economic paradox of India's informal sector, why it's a massive roadblock to growth, and how we can solve it through bold policies and economic inclusion. Let's define the problem. The informal economy includes businesses and workers who operate outside government regulations. These include street vendors, domestic workers, construction laborers, gig workers, and even small shop owners. They lack three fundamental economic securities: income stability, legal protection, and social benefit. But why does the informal sector exist? Well, there are three reasons to it. First is regulatory barriers. Registering a business or formalizing work in India is expensive, time consuming, and bureaucratic. Many workers don't even know where to begin. Second is high compliance cost. Formal businesses must comply with GST, labor law, and licensing regulations, making informality the cheaper choice. Third is lack of financial access. Without proper income records, informal workers can't get bank loans, insurance, or credit, trapping them in the low wage cycles. The informal economy is not just a poor person's problem, it's a fundamental economic issue that limits productivity, government revenue, and long term growth. Now let's analyze this through key macroeconomic indicators. First is low productivity and low wages. Informal jobs are mostly low skilled, low labor intensive and inefficient. The factory worker in US produces good worth $60 per hour, whereas an informal Indian worker may just produce $5 per hour. This means our workforce is working hard but generating much lower economic value. Second is fiscal impact, loss of tax revenue. In India, only 6.8 crore people file income tax return, while the working population is over 45 crore. This means a huge chunk of economic activity remains untaxed, limiting government spending on public welfare. Third is inflation and price sensitivity. Inflation hurts informal worker more than salaried employee. When price rise, their wages don't adjust accordingly. A person earning 500 rupees a day in 2020 might still be earning same in 2024, even though costs have skyrocketed. Fourth is impact on social security and poverty cycles. With no access to pensions, health insurance, or unemployment benefits, the informal workers remain one accident, one illness, or one job loss away from poverty. If India wants sustainable economic growth, we need to transition these workers into formal economy. Over the years, India has taken steps to bridge the gap between informal and formal workers. But have they been effective? Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act provides 100 days of guaranteed wage employment in rural areas, but wages are too low and scheme doesn't cover urban informal workers. GST and digital payment push encourages small business to formalize, but compliance remains complicated, discouraging informal workers from registering. Social Security Code aims to bring gig workers and informal workers under pension and insurance schemes. Implementation is very weak, and most informal workers aren't enrolled. So the policy exists, but the gap is in execution, awareness, and ease of access. So how do we integrate the informal worker into Indian economy mainstream? First is simplify business registration process. What if registering a business was as easy as getting a SIM card? A single window online system could eliminate corruption and encourage micro entrepreneurs. Second is universal social security for informal worker. The government could launch a national workers ID linking informal workers to health insurance, pension and accident benefits. Third can be microfinance and digital credit. Banks should offer low interest loans based on mobile payment records instead of traditional salary slip, empowering informal entrepreneurs. Fourth can be upskilling and formalizing incentives, providing free skill training and tax benefit to businesses. Hiring informal workers can bridge the wage gap. Strengthening the urban employment scheme. A city based version of MG and Rega could create formal employment opportunities in urban areas as well. If India can successfully bring half of its informal worker into formal economy, our GDP could accelerate by 2 to 3% annually. India is at an economic crossroad. We talk about becoming a global superpower, but true strength doesn't come from stock market or billion-dollar companies. It comes from the people who build, serve, and sustain the economy. The informal workforce is not a problem; it's an untapped potential. The faster we integrate them into the formal system, the faster India's economy will rise, will be inclusive, sustainable, and unstoppable. The question is, will we take the bold step needed or will we continue to overlook the backbone of our economy? Thank you.